So we've got our functions now with arguments passed into them, and we're able to use them within the functions, and they work, and that's great. But let's just say that I didn't. I'm just going to change this back actually to x and y, just to make it a little bit easier for us to follow along with. Just change this one here as well. Okay, so let's just say, so what I'm doing here is I'm printing out the same thing. I'm printing each time the function, different functions are called, I'm still printing out. But let's just say I didn't want to print this out. I wanted to, at the very end of my code, right, I then want to print out, okay, whatever it is that has been done by the calculation. I don't want it to be addition because I might be sometimes using subtraction or multiplication. So let me change this to the answer. Okay, so then we could say something like, the answer is equal to x plus y, and I could do the same for all of them. Take this out, and it tidies up our code a little bit. Okay, so we're kind of not creating too much code for ourselves. So we've got x6, 7. Let me do subtract this time. Okay, so we're getting this name error that is saying the answer, line 81, so it is this down here where I've just created this answer here. It's not defined, it doesn't exist, because at the moment answer only exists inside of these functions here. Okay, remember last time I said that you might need to use some of this variables of data outside of these functions. So what we can do is we can return a variable outside that variable's value outside of the function. So we could return here the answer. Same here, we could return the answer, return answer, and we could return the answer. Okay, so that's going to pass this out. This after it's done the calculation, it's going to return this variable here out of the function. Let's just check. Let me do multiplication this time. Okay, I'm still getting the name error, name is not defined. And that's because when you call the function, so I'm calling it here, then something is going to get returned back out of it, but I need to assign that return value to a variable. Okay, so I've called it answer up here. It doesn't have to be called answer, I could call it something else, but just for ease, I might call it answer here, just so you can see how they relate to each other. But like I say, it doesn't have to be. It could be another variable name. So 4, 8. Let's multiply them. Great. So 4 times 8 is 32, and that's being printed out here in this bottom line here, because my functions, my divide, my multiply, my subtract, my add, they're all taking this return value and assigning it to answer. Even though they're doing different things with each function, they are deciding to so the answer is being returned and it's coming out here. Now I've still got quite a messy bit of code here, and I'm asking the user for two numbers. I've got a lot of code here that's kind of duplicated, and it's not helping me to kind of follow the flow of my program. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create a function here to get a number from the user. Okay, so I'm going to use the def keyword, and I'm going to call this one get number. Remember, we can't have any spaces in our names of our functions. And then just all of this code that I've written here previously, I'm going to indent inside the function. So I'm going to get a number from the user. So before I ask the operator here, I want to call the get number function. So then I'm going to get one number. I want two numbers. So let me just get rid of that. Let me change this. What is your number? Okay, so I'm going to assign x to be whatever is returned from this function here. So let me return x out of there, and this is going to be the start of the program here. Okay. So I've got x is going to be a get number. I'm going to do y is also going to be a get number. So even though it's the x value, I've called it in here. I could actually change this to number. And number here. And I'm going to return the number. And then I'm going to start by getting the numbers, getting two numbers here. Let's just check that it works. Oh, I've got an error on line 31. The break doesn't match. Oh, again, just be careful. There we are. I've got a space, and the whole program didn't work. Okay, what is your number? 4. What is your number? 6. Add them together. Great. 4 plus 6 equals 10. Okay, that works. So I'm starting to tidy up my code a little bit. I might delete a little bit of this white space. So then I've kind of, at the beginning I've defined all my functions that I'm going to use. And then down here I've got all this. I could also put all this, I could put all of this inside a get. I could have a get operator from the user. So I could have def a get operator, and then I want all of this here. I didn't quite get it all. Oops, that's going to go inside there. Is it this as well? Yeah, it looks like this. I didn't include into here. Right, just tidy that up a little bit. Okay, good. Then let's start my program here. So I'm going to call this, and then I want to call my get operator function. Okay, so it's just tidying up my code a little bit. I've now got these functions here for addition, subtraction, multiply, divide. I've got a function for getting a number from the user. I've got a function for getting the operator, and then inside the operator function I'm then also calling the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division functions, and then print it out. So I feel like I might have broken my code a bit here. So let's go through a few tests. Yeah. Okay, operator. Okay, indentation 946. Yes. All of this here needs to be indented. Okay. There's always going to be some errors. Okay, so let's test this at 6, 8. Let's do multiplication. Okay, I'm getting an operator. Name operator is not defined. Because I've not returned anything out of the operator function after after it has been called. So let me return the operator out of here, and then when I call the get operator, because I use the operator here, I need to assign the operator variable to that. So 6, 9. I've broken my code a little bit there, I think, by pressing enter a bit too quickly. So let's try that again. 6, 3. Multiply. Okay, answer is not defined. Excuse me, that's because I didn't return the answer out of here. So when I'm returning the operator, I want to put a comma, and I also want to return the answer. So it's going to return two things out of this function, which means that I'm also going to have to assign two things to two variables. It's going to take whatever, like when we pass an argument in, it's going to take whatever the first variable is and assign it to this, and then the second variable gets assigned here to the second one. So 7, 4, multiply. Great, so it works. Okay, so my code works, and I put it inside some functions to tidy it up. But actually, at the moment, I'm just when I first open my code, I've got all my functions at the top. okay, that's how it should be. Got my operator, yep, that's fine. And then I've got the start of my program down here on line 76, and I've only got a few lines of code, but actually it would be really good to see the flow of this program if that was at the very top, if that was up here. So what I can do is I can create a main function, and then inside the main function I'm going to put this code here. Okay, so it does need to be indented. So I've got the start of my program here, so that just helps me to follow the flow a bit. And then at the very bottom, after all of my other code, I'm going to call my main function. Okay, so let's just test this and see what happens. Okay, what is my first number? 7, 9, multiply. Okay, so I'm getting some errors here saying name error. So line 6 in the get operator, x is not defined. I think that's because we're going to have to pass into here x and y. Remember I said earlier that why we pass in the arguments, because they might exist only within certain functions. Well, here's a good case. So I'm going to have to pass into the get operator function the x and y that I've got from these two functions here. So I've told get operator I'm going to pass in the x and the y. So when I come down here, let me get it to expect x and y to be passed in. So 6, 4 multiplied. Great, it now works, and it just flows. My program flows a little bit better. I'm starting off my program here where I'm going to get two numbers from the user. I'm then going to get the operator from the user and calculate, and then here I am going to print out the answer. Okay, so this is the start, and by putting this main function at the top, it just helps my program flow, and then I've got my other functions that I'm defining underneath, so add, subtract, multiply, divide. I'm handling my the getting the number from the user, converting it into an integer, except for my value error message where I'm going to try and convert it into a float, and if I get a value error message, I'm then going to prompt the user to input a number. I'm returning the number out of the get number function. I've got my get operator, which includes the calculation as well within the get operator. I could have put it outside the get operator, but as I was making it, I did that. And then finally at the very bottom, I'm calling my main function, which is this start here. So actually what's happening is Python will be reading through each of these lines, checking, yep, okay, I'm defining functions, yep, these exist, defining functions, but it's not going to do anything. The first line here is going to be printed out. So when you run it now, the first thing it's actually going to print out, the first thing should be this first line, yes, which is here, and then it's going to call the main function, and then the main function is going to start with this x equals get number. So although my code is kind of like going all over the place, and it might be a bit difficult to follow, actually by putting it into these functions and then by just creating this main function at the top, it just helps keep my code organized.